Guys, I think I need to use the restroom, and possibly maybe for a while, or a long while, or longer than would be for to just, pee. So, TikTok Reddit stories with Minecraft compilation? Surely that won't go wrong. How about, like, interesting ones?
What's the creepiest thing that you've seen other families do that they accept as totally normal? I went to this guy's house once after school. I wasn't friends with him, but we were assigned to a project together. We'll call him Gary. Anyways, we were working on this project when he excused himself to use the restroom. 15 minutes later he returned. A little while later, I decided to use the restroom while he was making snacks. I walked into the bathroom and behold, before my eyes, floating like a manatee through the brown estuaries of Florida, was the result of Gary's earlier bathroom excursion. I shrugged it off. I mean, we all forget at least once, right? Flushed for him, took a leak, flushed again, and went to work on the project. Gary's mom gets home from work a couple hours later. She nods to us and says hello politely before heading towards the back of the house. A few seconds later she returns to the kitchen where we were working and screams, "Where is it?" I jump and I'm confused, so I shoot a WTF look to Gary. Gary muttered, "It wasn't me. It was the Cosmic Costa." His mom glared at me, huffed, and walked out. Gary later explained that every day after school he would take a dump and was required to leave it in the toilet so his mom could check it. He wasn't even sick or anything. She just wanted to check it to make sure he was healthy or something. I never went back to Gary's house. What's your secret that could literally ruin your life if it came out? I run a cake business. I charge people hundreds for wedding cakes. Every last one is made using Pillsbury cake mix I buy for $1 a box at Walmart. Every time I've ever tried to make a cake from scratch it sucked. My friends all call me the cake girl. It's like my whole life is a lie. People compliment my cakes all the time, telling me how delicious they are, telling me they could never bake a cake so delicious. Well, guess what? For $1, they too can make a cake just as delicious. Just add oil, eggs and water. In my defense, I love cake decorating. I make all of the frostings and fondant from scratch. I base my prices mostly on the decoration of the cakes. Still no one knows about this except my husband. Even my best friends think I slave over the oven mixing and baking these damn cakes. If anyone knew, my business and reputation would be in the toilet for sure. I keep telling myself I have to learn how to make the damn cakes without the box mixes, but I never do it. It's very shameful sometimes. What's the most effed up thing a family member of yours has done? My dad's a consummate prankster. His crowning achievement, in college, has since become illegal in 2 states. Step 1. He and several buddies go to a Cadillac dealership at 5 o'clock on a Friday. This was before credit cards and automatic banking, by the way. Step 2. They wrote a check for the asking price of one of the shiny new models and drove off with it. Step 3. They saw the car at a used Cadillac dealership across town. Step 4. The used dealer calls the new dealer and tells him that the car was sold with the dealer plates still on and the price tag still in the window. Step 5. New dealer figures that the check the kids wrote is going to bounce, so he calls the cops. Step 6. My dad and his friends spend the weekend in jail. Step 7. The bank's open Monday morning. The check doesn't bounce. Step 8. My dad and his friends sue the dealers in the state for wrongful imprisonment and get a settlement of thousands of dollars more than the cost of the car. Basically, the plan was to seem as shady as possible and get wrongfully arrested for it. They had the lawyer set up before they bought the car. Dad used his share to pay for his and another friend's tuition for the year. Kids born to teen moms, how different is your life compared to other kids? My mom and I are really close. She had me at 14. Growing up, I noticed a lot of my friends didn't get along with their moms. I always thought she was really relatable. We go eat, go shopping, get coffee, gossip, just hang out. She worked a lot, sometimes multiple jobs at once, so I felt like I did less extracurricular than my friends, but I was pretty happy growing up. She is always concerned with money. I'm starting to notice that she's not very good at saving money, or planning retirement and whatnot. I once asked a family friend, now that us kids are grown, how are my parents still living paycheck to paycheck? She explained that, in her opinion, my mom basically skipped learning how to take care of herself as an adult. Instead of learning how to effectively adult, she focused on taking care of her kids. I will forever be grateful for my mom and the hard work and sacrifices she endured to raise me and my siblings. What is your "we will never speak of this again" moment? I got up one night to get some water, and found that my teenage son was in the kitchen getting food. He was behind the kitchen counter, so I could only see him from the waist up. When he came around the counter into the hall, 2 things happened simultaneously. He noticed me, and his eyes grew wide in horror, and I saw that he was butt naked except for a pair of socks. He starts trying to panic run backwards on the tile floor. Imagine Scooby-Doo trying to run but getting stuck in place in a flurry of limbs, but ended up slipping and taking a hard seat on the tile. Worst of all, he dropped his hot pocket. I made sure he was okay, then went back to bed and laughed my ass off. Years later, we were driving and reminiscing about funny memories. I said, "Do you remember that night?" And he cut me off with, "Yes." I didn't even have to specify which night. We knew, and we were silent. Guys of Reddit, why did you reject the pretty girl? I accidentally turned down a girl I had a massive crush on in middle school. I'd convinced myself she was the one I was going to end up with, marry, etc. Turns out she actually liked me too, and her brother would literally walk past me at school and yell, "My sister likes you," but I just assumed he was trolling me or something. Well, one day we were on the train home after school and her friend suddenly and mysteriously disappeared to another carriage, leaving her and I alone together. She asked, "Hey, I was wondering, do you have a crush on me?" as she leaned in hopefully for my answer. How did I react to this situation? I started rummaging through my school backpack pretending I was looking for something, and changed the subject to some dumb thing that my brother did on the weekend. She leaned back in her seat and looked visibly disappointed. Now why did I do this, you ask? Because I'd heard the statistics of how unlikely relationships were to last if they started at that age. So I told myself we weren't ready yet. I was going to wait 5 more years until we left school before I made my move, because then it would last, I told myself. Of course, I waited so long that she eventually lost interest and we drifted away. Yeah, teenage me had some strange ideas about love and relationships. Teenagers of Reddit, what are the hardest things to explain to adults that you can tell a child and will understand? Just because I have my own personal life and secrets doesn't automatically mean I'm doing something bad, illegal or straight up dangerous. I'm allowed to have secrets. When we say don't tell anyone, we mean don't tell anyone. I told my mom about a girl I absolutely hated. Then later that night, she FaceTimes me and says, "Guess what? I work with her aunt," and flips the camera at her and starts talking about how she told her that I hated her niece. You can't just walk up to someone and ask if you can hang out with them without it being weird. Having friends online that you actually care about. That you are tired of everything and want to have less pressure from them. Also that raising your voice a little bit when you are upset isn't disrespect. Yes, video games are important because they're a source of amusement and happiness. Almost not a teenager anymore, but I found hanging out online on Discord, or a couple years ago, on Skype, is just so surreal to adults, especially people age 50 and older. Doctors, what's the best reaction you've seen from a dad during birth? The doctor, another nurse, and I are sitting in a delivery room watching this chick snatch vomit up a baby. I've seen this several times before. Anyway, the head was crowning and the dad, who had been there the entire time comforting his wife, is just hunkered down watching this baby be born while holding his wife's hand. The first baby is out. It's a girl. He nods and keeps watching. Second baby is out. Also a girl. He nods. After we let the mom hold the girls, we took them to the nursery while the mom got situated. Dad disappeared. I didn't see him for another hour and a half. I decided to pass by the nursery to take a look at the twins I helped deliver. The dad was standing there with this really weird look on his face. I asked him if he was okay, and he said, "Yeah, looks like I'm a dad now," and then burst into some really heavy sobs. But he quit just as fast as he started and his expression changed to that of pure, unbridled joy. He apologized and then told me he was so excited to know who his little girls were going to be. Girls of Reddit, what are the unwritten rules of the girl code that us guys don't know of? Girls help other girls get away from guys. This totally happened to me in a Walmart at like 2 a.m. This super creepster was following me around, so I just walked up to a random woman and said, "Oh my gosh, I've been looking for you everywhere," and I gave her the look. She looked behind me and half hugged me and whispered, "That guy in the red?" Then we fake friend walked around to find her giant biker boyfriend. They walked me to my car and everything. It's sister code. It is now my duty to pay it forward. If a woman asks you for menstrual products and you have a spare, you give one to her. Doesn't matter if she's your worst enemy or a stranger in a bathroom rest stop. You hand over a spare pad tampon. If you notice that someone has bled through their pants, effing tell them. Even if you hate each other, even if you're strangers, lower your voice and let them know. What random act of kindness backfired on you? After witnessing firsthand how incredibly rude so many people act towards cab drivers, I started sitting in the front seat of taxis and having conversations with the driver. We'd talk about where they were from, their families, how late they were working, etc. I had a lot of interesting conversations, plus most seemed to genuinely enjoy the company and many actually thanked me at the end of the ride. Then one time, while studying abroad in Vienna, I started talking to a cabbie who picked my friends and I up from a bar. We were chatting about his wife, when suddenly he put his hand on my thigh, tried lifting my skirt and continuously attempted to grope me as I slapped his hand away repeatedly. Thankfully we were right by my dorm, so I jetted out of the cab and we obviously refused to pay. The cabbie threatened to call the police and one of my friends ended up punching him in the face. Then the cabbie stalked the dorm that I lived in for the next week and stared at me every time I left. Now I sit on my phone in silence in the back of cabs. Girls that gave the nice guy a chance. How did it go? We went to Starbucks one time and chatted and in his head that meant I was his possession and he had the right to stalk me for a year. So bad. I was stupid and 17, he was 29. He tried to convert me to his religion and planned to propose when I turned 18. I thought I was an adult and could make my own choices. And upon reflection I see that it was grooming. Now that I'm close to his age, can't imagine trying to date a 17-year-old. Met a nice guy on Tinder. He was really awkward with few social skills, but he had a really cute dog so I figured why not. The entire first 2 months of the relationship I was terrified thinking I was being gaslit because he was just so nice. I had a history of abusive relationships. 2 years later we are engaged, just closed on 8.5 acres of land, and discovered we are pregnant last night. He's still really awkward and his dog is still really cute.
Good timing, I guess. My favorite one is Haribo
sugar-free gummy bears. It was the first thing that came up. One more.
Listener discretion is advised, especially if you are one who cannot handle the over-detailed and painful amount of human excrement, aka poop jokes.
I want the AI voice or nothing. Give me a Minecraft parkour video with AI voice or I'm out of here.
Haribo Sugarless Gummy Bears, 5-pound bag. Part 1. 1 star. See you in hell, Haribo Sugar-Free Gummy Bears. It was my last class of the semester, and the final exam was worth 30% of our grade. After a late-night study session, I felt confident.
This is a different
I had to
one.
decide between sleeping in or cooking breakfast. My eyelids chose sleep. My stomach later regretted this decision, and after several uncomfortable stomach growls, I finally decided to make a quick stop by the campus bookstore and grab a snack before my test. Since the semester was ending and everyone was going home for the summer, a lot of items were on sale, including the snacks and candy that they kept up front. Being in the hungry state that I was in, it felt only logical to pick the largest, yet least expensive candy in order to get more bang for my buck. And there they sat, 2 bags of Haribo sugar-free gummy bears, buy one get one free. What a deal! I thought naively. I would eat 1 bag before my test, and 1 bag afterwards.
5 pounds?
As I walked to class, I gleefully chewed on those abominable little bastards, unaware of the utter mayhem that they would soon unleash upon my poor anus. I sat down at my desk as the professor informed us that, due to issues with cheating in the past, restroom breaks would be prohibited until the completion of the exam. I'll give you 10 minutes to use the restroom now. This will be your last chance. Any takers? The Demon Bears hadn't released their unholy necromancy upon me
Hello?
yet.
Hello?
So in my moment of ignorant foolishness,
Stop!
I remained seated, still munching on those miniature bear-shaped bombs.
What's happening?
The Demon Bears hadn't released their unholy necromancy upon my stomach yet, so in my moment of ignorant foolishness, I remained seated, still munching on those miniature bear-shaped bombs. After the students wise enough to take the professor's offer had returned, the professor handed out the test. I was 6 questions in when it happened. It started subtly at first, almost like a slight tingly sensation in my lower abdomen. I thought nothing of it, assuming my intestines were just doing their tang. Little did I know that my intestines were trying desperately to warn me of the horror that was on the horizon. By question 9 it happened again, but this time it was followed by a sharp pain, as if those infernal hellions had orchestrated an attack upon my colon. I fought to contain the groan that tried escaping my lips. It was at this point I began to panic. Something was going horribly wrong, and I needed to get through this test before it got any worse. By question 14 my worst fear was upon me. The Satan Bear's burning, hot, liquidy dark magic crashed against my anal sphincter like a tidal wave. I was able to close the hatch just in time, but those relentless, toxic bears beat against it like orcs breaking down the doors of Helm's Deep. I knew I wouldn't be able to so much as shift in my seat without risking a breach. I kept fighting through my exam, clenching my cheeks with all my might. Beads of sweat began rolling down my neck. Suddenly, a loud, gurgling war cry came from my belly, and the entire class lifted their heads. At this point, nothing mattered except expelling this ungodly presence from my bowels. With 15 questions left, I promptly wrote C for every answer and ran out of the classroom. My professor yelled something, but I was too preoccupied with the volcanic eruption that needed to take place before I could find sweet relief. I burst into the restroom like the Kool-Aid Man and, behold, the handicap stall was empty. Sun rays from the adjacent window shone upon it, as if it were a gift from God himself. It took me less than 0.5 seconds to undo my belt buckle, pull down my pants, and finally relax my weary buttocks upon the toilet seat. It took absolutely no effort to expel this demon. Almost immediately, the floodgates of hell were opened and the damned, liquefied souls of an entire bag's worth of gummy bears cried as they burned through my sphincter and into the watery abyss below.
Don't call it a sphincter!
I had never felt such simultaneous relief and anguish in my life. After 30 more minutes of this, I immediately went home, dug a hole in my backyard, and burned the remaining bag of gummy bears. I leave with this: do not, I repeat, do not eat these spawns of Satan. Not only did they cause me to fail my final test, but the anguish
says Mr. Teresa Jacksepticeye video where he watched a clip of a golf guy mic'd up talking about his poopy accident, and it's called Straight Effing Water, and I think you will like it.
Thank you. I will put it on my list.
Is something I wouldn't wish upon anyone, not even my worst enemy. The only place these god-forsaken hellbears belong are buried deep below the Earth's surface.
19,000 people found this helpful. Beautiful. Love that. Love that. I too find that helpful. I mean, to be fair, eating 1 pound of gelatin is kind of insane. Did I say 1 pound? 5 pounds. Consuming 5 pounds at one time, I think it would cause stomach aches for everyone. But I have heard many, many stories about these particular sugar-free gummies from Haribo. Helm's Deep Level Orc Attack. Right, precisely. Sugar-free stuff usually contains fake sugar that acts as a laxative when taken in a big amount.
Whole world of hope.
Actually, they couldn't have chosen like chips or juice. Why 5 pounds of gummy bears? Yeah, I have like an adverse reaction to gummy stuff. Like anything that's just like straight up gummy bears or gummy worms or something. I think I don't know if it's like a sensitivity to the gelatin, but it really makes my stomach hurt. So I have to eat it. As much as I love sour gummy candies, I have to eat them in like increments. It just makes my stomach feel funny. I do like the gelatin-free gummies though. You make me want to get sour gummy candies. You know, the sour gummy candies did not hurt, was not as uncomfortable in like other countries. Specifically in America.
Apparently Haribo discontinued the sugar-free gummies because of people's similar experiences with the Mellow L.
Let me see if you can still get them on Amazon. Because I do want to see some of the reviews. Sugar-free Haribo gummy bears. They are no longer sold on Amazon. Wait, that's cute. Gold Baron. Gold Baron. Wait, those look massive. That's just for illustration, right? I see a 5 pound bag, but these are the sugar full ones.